On May 22, 2025, the Department of Defense's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office quietly uploaded its fourth batch of declassified UAP files to the Pursue portal, the Pentagon's public-facing database housed at war.gov/UFO. Approximately 40 records, 19 videos. Source agencies spanning the Pentagon, NASA, CIA, FBI, and the State Department. The dates on these documents range from 1949 to 2025. 76 years of government encounters with things it couldn't explain, now sitting on a .gov website anyone can access. Among them, an infrared clip from the Atlantic Ocean showing what researchers are already calling a jellyfish UAP, an amorphous, translucent form drifting in ways that don't match known aircraft, drones, or atmospheric phenomena. This is the fourth sequential release, and the pattern is becoming more important than any single file. Pursue stands for Publicly Released Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena System for Exchange. It was mandated by Congress, built by AARO, and designed as a one-stop declassification pipeline. The mechanics matter. Originating agencies, whether that's a Navy carrier group, a CIA station, or an FBI field office, flag UAP-relevant records. Those records flow to AARO for review. AARO coordinates declassification with the original classifying authority. Cleared files get posted to war.gov/UFO. The first release came in early 2024. The second and third followed at irregular intervals. Now the fourth. Each batch has grown in scope and multi-agency breadth. This isn't a single document dump. It's a rolling release architecture, sequential, iterative, and designed to normalize the flow of UAP information into the public record. The question is whether the architecture is genuine or decorative. The 40 files break down into several categories: military encounter reports from multiple decades, intelligence community assessments, sensor data, including the 19 video files, and at least one diplomatic record routed through the State Department, a detail that raises questions about UAP encounters at or near U.S. installations abroad. The infrared Atlantic footage is drawing the most attention. The object displays no visible propulsion, no thermal exhaust signature consistent with conventional engines, and movement patterns that one defense analyst described as not ballistic and not aerodynamic. It bears visual resemblance to the so-called jellyfish UAP, previously leaked from a forward operating base in Iraq, footage that journalist Jeremy Corbell published in January 2024. Whether the Atlantic clip represents the same phenomenon remains unconfirmed, but its inclusion in an official release is significant. The Pentagon is now publishing material that tracks with what whistleblowers and journalists have been surfacing independently. Alongside the file release, AARO published its 2025 Declassification Information Paper, a bureaucratic document that may be more revealing than the files themselves.
The paper outlines what AARO has reviewed, what it has cleared for release, and critically, what remains withheld and why. The stated reasons for withholding fall into familiar categories: sources and methods, foreign intelligence sensitivities, and ongoing operational equities. But the paper also acknowledges something less routine, that certain records involve interagency disputes over classification authority. Translation: agencies disagree about what the public should see. This is not a monolithic cover-up. It's a fragmented bureaucracy where the CIA, the Pentagon, and the intelligence community each hold veto power over different pieces of the puzzle. The paper confirms that hundreds of additional records remain in the declassification queue. AARO frames this as a pipeline issue, volume, not obstruction. Critics see it differently. One of the most discussed revelations from AARO's recent work is the KONA BLUE program, a proposed but never funded DIA initiative that would have investigated the retrieval and exploitation of non-human craft materials. AARO itself surfaced KONA BLUE during its historical review, publishing the proposal documents and confirming the program was submitted, reviewed, and ultimately rejected. Why does this matter for the fourth Pursue release? Because KONA BLUE demonstrates AARO's internal vetting methodology. The office isn't just processing current encounters, it's excavating the Pentagon's own institutional memory, finding programs that were classified, shelved, or denied, and bringing them into the declassification pipeline. KONA BLUE was never operational, but its existence proves that senior defense officials took crash retrieval seriously enough to draft formal program proposals through official channels. AARO's willingness to publish this material suggests either genuine transparency or a calculated effort to get ahead of congressional investigators who were already circling the same records. Behind the Pursue portal sits another institution doing critical but underappreciated work, the National Archives and Records Administration. NARA is actively digitizing UAP-relevant records from across the federal government, paper files, microfilm, analog recordings, converting them into formats that can be reviewed, declassified, and posted. This is slow, resource-intensive work. Some of the 1949-era documents in the fourth release exist because NARA's digitization pipeline finally reached them. The bottleneck is real. NARA's UAP-specific digitization effort is competing for resources with every other federal records priority, and the volume is enormous. Decades of Air Force, Navy, and intelligence community records have never been digitized at all. What we're seeing in Pursue may represent a fraction of what physically exists in government archives. Perhaps the most significant gap in the current disclosure architecture involves NASA.
Despite appointing Mark McInerney as its UAP liaison director in 2023 and producing its own independent study, NASA has transferred minimal records into the Pursue system. The 2025 Declassification Information Paper references NASA's participation but provides no specifics on volume or timeline. This matters because NASA operates the largest civilian sensor network on Earth and in orbit. Its Earth-observing satellites, space-based telescopes, and atmospheric research instruments represent an enormous potential dataset for anomalous phenomena. Congressional sources have indicated frustration with the pace of NASA's record transfers. Whether this reflects institutional resistance, genuine classification complexity, or simple bureaucratic inertia remains unclear. But until NASA's records enter the pipeline in meaningful volume, the Pursue system has a significant blind spot, one that conveniently excludes the agency best positioned to provide scientific sensor data. 4 releases in roughly 18 months, growing file counts, expanding agency participation, the structural trajectory looks like acceleration. But context matters. The total number of released files, perhaps 150 across all 4 batches, is a fraction of what Congress has demanded. The Schumer-Rounds UAP Disclosure Act, which would have created an independent review board with declassification authority, was stripped from the 2024 NDAA after intense opposition from the intelligence community. What we have instead is AARO, an office inside the Pentagon, deciding what gets released from records generated by the Pentagon and its sibling agencies. The Fox is architecting the Henhouse's transparency initiative. That doesn't mean the releases are meaningless. Every file that reaches war.gov/UFO is a file that can be analyzed, cross-referenced, and debated publicly. The 4th release proves the system is functional. The open question is whether it's sufficient, whether a rolling release controlled by the institutions being investigated can ever produce the kind of disclosure that Congress, whistleblowers, and the public are actually asking for. The architecture exists, the records are flowing, but the walls of the pipeline are built by the same hands that classified these files in the first place. The 5th release will come. More files will appear on war.gov/UFO. NARA will digitize another tranche. Maybe NASA will finally open its pipeline. But the fundamental tension remains. Disclosure controlled by the classified world is disclosure on the classified world's terms. The 40 files from the 4th release are real. The jellyfish footage is real. The 76-year span of these records is real. What we still don't know is what's in the folders that didn't make the cut, and who decided they wouldn't.